Welcome back to part 3 of the test positions on back rank. We commence with position from game between Willoup and Pitsker with black to play and win, and here black creates back rank weakness with a queen sacrifice. He starts with queen captures f2, and after rook captures f2 we see rook b1 check. Only defense is rook f1, and now we see that defender for the rook on f1 is the king. Now black plays bishop to d4, and now it is not possible for white to defend back rank checkmate any further. Of course, he can try moving his rook on h3 to e3, but that would only be temporary. King moved to h1 and black declared checkmate with rook captures f1. Moving on, this is problem number 14 from part 3, second of part 3, game between Azarsky and Lelchuk. It's white to play, and what do we see? Black has back rank weakness. It's only guarded by the queen. So white went on offensive with a very beautiful move, queen h4, offering his queen free, at the same time creating a checkmate threat, also like a threat of winning the queen. Of course, the queen on h4 cannot be captured because it will allow white to declare checkmate with rook f8. So only defense for black to guard the queen and also to protect the checkmate on h7 is by moving his queen to g8, but then there follows rook f8, one more sacrifice, and now this move pins the queen, so it becomes force for black, like to capture the rook. But before he tries capturing, he tried bishop into d4, but that was only a temporary succor as white just moved his, king to h1, and after h6 to avoid back rank checkmate, he lost the queen. It is rook into g8 check, king into g8, but mate cannot be avoided. It followed with queen d8 check and mate. The next in the series from part 3 is the game between Patasius and Purdy with black to play. And here we see that rook on c1 is attacked by rook on c1, rook on c7, but white has a defense with queen on a3. So the idea is simple. Black played queen a4. Now white continued here. He cannot of course accept the queen, because if he plays queen into a4, it allows mate into starting with rook into c1. So in this position, white played queen b2, and now black continued with this, was in the sacrificial mood. Queen captures a2, stunning. So again it is not possible to capture. He played here queen to a1, and now what can black do? Found a stunning resource. Played rook to c2, threatening rook on pawn on f2, and now we can see that it is not possible for white to play either queen into a2 or rook into c2. For example, queen into a2 allows rook into c1 mate, and rook into c2 allows mate into starting with queen into a1. So white tried rook f1, but again, like black just continued the momentum, played rook into f2 with further damage with rook into g2 to followed. And as can be seen, it is not possible for white to play rook into f2 as he will lose the queen. So he resigned. This is one of Capablanca's wonderful combination with black to play from his game against Berlin, played at Moscow. And like this game had nothing in spectacular till this position, but with simple exchanges, Capablanca exploits the back rank weakness of white. Let us see how. He started with simple exchange. Knight captures c3, rook captures c3, rook captures c3, rook captures c3. And now, you know, there is no guard for white on the back rank. But how to take the advantage as queen on e2 is ready to block the checks, and this becomes the idea that imagine if the queen was not on e2 to guard back rank check from f1, then mate would follow because rook is also in a good position. So here comes the idea, queen b2. Beautiful. Queen is now threatening to capture the rook on c3, as well capture the queen on e2, and now any move which white plays, in fact we can examine all the possible variations in this, leads to loss of material to avoid back rank checkmate. For example, let us start like what if he plays in this position queen e1. He means guards the back rank as well protects the rook on c3. But well, that is temporary. Black can without hesitation go for queen into c3 because capture of the queen will allow mate into starting with rook d1, queen e1 and queen into rook into e1 check and mate. Let us now examine some interesting variations in this position. What if black were to play, you know, rook c2? Well, in that case, here black can continue with queen b1 check, and after forced queen f1, he wins the rook with queen captures c2. So this move like, you know, rook b2, rook c2 also does not work. An interesting try for white is queen d3. He says, okay, come on, take my queen. Because now what do we notice? That if at all Capablanca captures the queen, then white too will be able to declare back rank checkmate starting with rook c8. So it is not possible for black immediately to capture the queen. But then he has an idea. First he will play an intermediate move, Swissenzu, queen a1 check. This forces queen f1, and now black can just go material up with queen captures c3. Similar idea can also be seen if white tries rook d3 in the position. Same idea. So that if black captures queen on e2, then mate will follow with rook into d8. But again, we can see like same idea. Here the winning check comes from queen b1, and after queen f1, you can just play queen into d3, pure rook up with leading to an easy win. So I hope you have enjoyed this combination of Capablanca, the great master. This position between Liberato and Ling played at Argentina way back in 1969 is one of my personal favorite, and like when I was giving my trainer's seminar exam at Singapore way back in 2007, and we were each one of us asked to give a demo lesson. Then I had selected the back rank chapter, and like all other trainees, they were required to, you know, work as student and ask difficult questions on each of the move. So like this is a long winding combination where I had lot of questions, and this is really instructive and as well, you know, thoroughly entertaining. It's white to play and win. And what do we see in this position? Black is ahead on material count. Like we can see, he has got an extra minor piece. Both sides have got queen or rook, but white has got one minor piece, black has two. Only problem that there is a traffic jam. They have not moved off their starting blocks, and this allowed white to win the game through a fantastic combination. He started with knight h6 check. Simple. And now we can see what are the possibilities. Of course, we rule out g captures h6 as queen into f6 leads to an easy win. So what is the alternative? Well, queen into h6, then he gets mated with queen f8. So that is also not possible. And like the try of moving the king to f8 also does not work. For example, if he moves his king to d8, then just white can just play queen d6. Remember, there is a pin on the queen on f6. So queen is not in a position to do anything to the counterpart on d6 and the game is over. So here after knight h6 we see only one response from black, and that is to move his king to h8. And now how should white proceed? What are the possibilities? Well, he found out a wonderful original idea. Retreated back his queen to c1 to discover an attack on the queen on f6. This is like a rarity when queen moves out of the way to discover an attack. And now what is black required to do? Save the queen and also save the back rank checkmate on f8 dual task. So the only move from which it can be prevented is queen e7. It is not possible for black to play queen d8 because in that case there follows knight f7, a knight 4 queen is lost. So this move is ruled out. So he played queen e7. And now white starts the maneuver of deflecting the queen from the guard of f8 square. So there comes queen g5. Queen e3 is equally effective. Like I was asked in the question, means when I said what can be the move. So then one of them said, why not, like he was an international master and said, why not queen to e3? And well, at that time I tried some sort of swindle that okay, queen e3, black can try to, like avert mate by giving up his extra material. He can play queen into e6. And when, black continues here with queen into e6, then white can play knight c6. So this was of course temporary. White wins in any case. Both the moves, queen e3 as well the text move which white actually played in the game, queen g5, are equally effective, almost the same. So here now black played queen e8. Of course he cannot accept the queen. He has to guard the rank all the time. Now white moved his knight to f7, forcing king to g8, and now again white played knight to d6, threatening queen. So now black moved his queen to d7. White continued with queen into d5. Now he gets back the pawn, so it's a check to the king. So king is again driven to the edge of the board. If he goes to h8, there follows mate with rook f8. So not possible for king to go to h8. He has to move his queen. This is the only solution to avoid mate. But now white continued with a beautiful finale. He played knight into c8, offering his queen, and at the same time eliminating the defender for the queen, the bishop on c8. Black has nothing to do. He went ahead with queen captures d5, but that is only temporary. There came knight e7 check. It's also a knight 4. After king retreats to h8, there follows rook f8 check, queen to g8 only move, and rook captures g8. A combination running into 10 moves. Do examine if you have got it properly with all the variations. If not, just run through this video again and come back to this same position later on, and I'm confident that by that time your strength must have increased and you will be able to work out successfully. Moving on to the last problem test position in the back rank series. It's from the game between Levitsky and Tartakover with black to play and win. And here you will be seeing a staircase maneuver, a rarity. They are there in good number of chess compositions, also in actual game, but by far and few. So let us examine how this staircase maneuvers come. So what do we see? It's black to play. So the great Tartakover, he had his rook in an open file, very good position, and also queen here. And of course white has his queen on e1, guarding all this threat. But his rook on g5 is some sort of misplaced. How can rook go there, and means you can see all sort of problems for white. Of course, if given a move, white will play rook captures e5 and everything will be okay. But it is black to play, and now it starts with a simple queen c5 check. This forces king to h1. And now black plays a move which is like a beautiful threat. Queen c4. Idea rook f1, followed by not only winning the queen but also of checkmate. So here now white can do nothing. He has to bring his king back to g1 to avoid from rook penetrating to f1. Black continues the ideas is like, in a staircase maneuver to c5, then to c4, and now to d4. I will show you all this path. And then we have like again the same move, king has to go to h1. And now again we see queen to e4. This is very good move. It prevents the maneuver of white of capturing the pawn on e5. And now of course this queen on e4 cannot be touched, for it will allow black to deliver checkmate with rook f1. So now queen has to take a decision. Here in this position, white played queen to c1, went away from the attack. And now black renewed this threat. He comes closer and closer. Now queen d3 check. Again the same idea here. So this again forces king g1. And now again, again climbing back the staircase. So he goes back, queen d4 check, forces king to h1, and then finally plays queen d2. Successful culmination of a combination. Material loss cannot be averted by white. There is a threat to capture the rook on g5, as well the queen on c1, and of course if at all white tries capturing queen on d2, mate follows with rook on f1. I hope you must have enjoyed this staircase maneuver. Just have a look at it again, the path of the black queen. So it started with queen to c4, and then came queen to c5, and then queen to c4, and then queen to d4, followed by queen to e4, then queen to d3, then queen to d4 check, and then finally queen to d2. So this concludes our final part of the test position on back rank checkmate. I will be back with the next topic in the line, that is discovered attack. Bye for now. See you in the next video.